Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Yvonne DeFreitas, and I'll be your host for the next hour. Joining us today is our guest speaker, Aisha Howitt. She'll be joining us in a bit. Today, we're going to discuss why organizations and human resources professionals should be aware of a rapidly growing workforce demographic known as carer employees, and how supporting and accommodating these employees can help improve the success of HR operations and the organization on a whole. While this webinar is virtual, McMaster University recognizes and acknowledges that it is located on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee nations within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Just a quick funding statement. We are grateful for the support received from the Social Sciences, and Humanities Research Council of Canada as part of a connection grant called Disseminating Tools for the Creation of Caregiver-Friendly Workplaces in Canada. Okay, just a quick introduction. I'm a certified human resources professional with 20 years of experience. I began my career in the private sector as a generalist, extending my expertise in people management, labor and employment relations, compensation, change management, and leadership development. Over the last few years, as the Director of Human Resources and Organizational Effectiveness for a federal government organization, I led a team of human resources professionals, provided counsel and expertise to leadership, and worked with union leaders to ensure employees experienced a safe and positive workplace. Now, our speaker, who's joining us today, is Aisha Howitt. She's VP of Talent, Equity, and People with the Vancouver City Savings Credit Union, or VanCity. Aisha's role anchors on embedding equity across the business operations and aligning with the organization's strategic goals. Collaborating with senior leaders, she oversees the organization's HR functions such as employee and labor relations, talent acquisition, data, and analytics of DEIR. Her recent leadership in the development and implementation of diversity, equity, inclusion, and reconciliation strategies connects her deep-rooted expertise in talent development and organizational transformation. The mission is straightforward: to cultivate a workforce that is diverse and inclusive as it is skilled and dedicated. VanCity's team's efforts in talent acquisition and strategy are designed to foster a workplace where everyone thrives. So, today we're going to be covering a variety of topics. We will start with the workplace ethical responsibility for recognizing career employees in the workforce, why it matters to organizations, and more broadly for Canada's economy. Aisha is going to take some time during this webinar to share the supports, accommodations, and programs currently used in VanCity to support these employees balancing work with unpaid care at home or in their community. We will then explore the different tools and resources available, which are designed to help organizations and HR professionals build and sustain career inclusive practices with the objective of making an organization a better workplace. These resources include a free online course, a standard developed and provided by the Canadian Standards Association, as well as some additional tools such as employer and employee checklists and documents. We'll then close the webinar with a Q&A session to provide time for you to ask any questions you may have regarding the information in today's webinar. So to better understand how important it is to support these working in Canada who provide care, let's have a look at some of the important stats. Data from the 2018 Statistics Canada General Social Survey found 1 in 4 Canadians are balancing work with unpaid care. This equates to over 5.2 million Canadians, and this number is expected to increase drastically over the coming years. Population trends are predicting that by 2030, older adults aged 65 and over could make up almost a quarter of Canada's population. As the number of older adults in Canada increases, the number of caregivers is also expected to increase. With that in mind, the majority of unpaid caregivers caregivers are also working. So 67% of unpaid caregivers are simultaneously balancing unpaid care with paid employment. These individuals are known as carer employees or CEs. Carer employees make up approximately 1/3 of the Canadian workforce. That represents roughly 35% of the workforce, making carer employees a highly relevant demographic of concern for organizations, especially when it comes to ensuring positive work experiences and efficient organization operations. Not only do carer employees represent around 35% of Canada's workforce, but they also represent the most experienced and skilled in the workforce, since we know that the majority of carer employees are between the ages of 45 and 65. The issue of supports and accommodation for carer employees in the workplace is very much of equity, diversity, and inclusion. Research shows that there are a variety of negative impacts to the mental and physical health and well-being of carer employees in the workplace when there is lack of support or recognition. Burnout, depression, and anxiety are amongst the most prominent negative impacts experienced by carer employees when they have no access to accommodations or just basic support and acknowledgement. Studies have also shown the link between intense caregiving activities and poor cardiovascular health, which only increases the importance for making sure these employees are supported to help them balance their work and caregiving responsibilities. Recognizing carer employees in the workplace acknowledges the overlap between work, family, and life. It is important to consider the entire life cycle of the individual when building work-life balance or wellness programs. It's not efficient or practical for workplaces to ignore and disregard the impact of personal life on workplaces. Employee programs focusing on employee health and wellness should recognize that when employees finish their workday, they still have responsibilities outside the workplace that may impact their ability to sustain their employment, especially in considering the diverse and different experiences of each caregiver. Caregiving can take on different forms and come and go in an individual's life. So it's important to understand that the need to access certain support or accommodation will change for an employee. Realistically, organizations must make profits and be sustainable. So what is the business case for supporting care employees? Studies show there are a variety of reasons why organizations can benefit from care-friendly workplace practices. Not only the benefit from cost savings and productivity, but also loyalty and engagement. Care employees that are supported and provided accommodation in the workplace are reportedly more productive, more present in their work duties, more satisfied with their job, and experience better well-being overall. From an organization's perspective, there are cost savings associated with less turnover, less absenteeism, and reduction in leaves. As an example, an intervention study conducted by McMaster University found that a care-friendly workplace intervention resulted in cost savings for the organization, with a positive net benefit approximately $333,000. That's significant. A report from the American Association of Retired Persons showed that for every dollar spent on flex time, companies can expect a return on investment ranging from $1.70 to $4.34, while investments in telecommunicating yielded returns between $2.46 and $44.45. Also, a survey by Bloom found a direct link between caregiving policies and increased productivity among employees. So there are clear benefits to supporting and accommodating career employees within your organization, especially with the focus of employee satisfaction and productivity. Now, I'm going to take a break because I'm and pass the torch on to our guest speaker, Aisha, to share some examples of putting care inclusive policies in practice and how Vancity provides a supportive workplace for their employees. Aisha?
Thank you so much, and it's so nice to be here. I first off want to acknowledge that I'm calling in from the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, also known as North Vancouver. And just wanting to share, like, part of my reconciliation journey is really around, uplifting, supporting, and advocating for Indigenous voices in all the work we do, and that you'll see embedded in some of the presentation we have. I'm first off going to start on a little bit about Vancity. So Vancity is a credit union located in British Columbia. We were founded in 1946 by 14 bold individuals. And if you know Vancouver, we have our big head office on Main Street, and that's really where a lot of the major banks would not loan to folks east of Main. And so sharing that, Vancity was really rooted around the experience of exclusion, and then creating this sense of belonging as a financial cooperative. So we're not a bank, we're a credit union. And that means we solely exist for our members and their communities. And so what that means is we believe that we can provide better service, but also center the needs of our communities. And we do that through a variety of different ways. So through our shared success, we provide up to 30% of our profits to our members and communities through initiatives on climate action, reconciliation, financial literacy. But we really believe that, when everybody thrives, that's really where both an organization but community also thrive. And so I'm really excited to share some of the work we've done as it relates to supporting care employees. We offer a variety of different policies and programs, and some of them you'll see here. So more specifically, we provide a hybrid work environment where possible. We are a member-facing organization, which means we have brick and mortar like physical locations across British Columbia. And so that does impact folks that are in branch. They don't have that option, but we do have that option for a good majority of our back office functions. We also provide flex schedules, which is like the 9-day fortnight type of schedule, or providing different start and leave times. We also provide compressed work weeks, which is that like 4-day work week. Or providing, so very accommodating, even up to senior levels, as it relates to making sure folks can support their family needs. We also have care days, and care days, the reason we even articulate them as care days versus sick days is they really are centered around caring for yourself or your dependents, and those dependents include both elder and childcare. We also have, the family responsibility, although that's unpaid, we provide that, and then short-term and long-term disability. The one piece that I did want to mention is we went through a benefits redesign in 2023, and through that process, we actually engaged various employee groups across the organization, inclusive of our employee resource groups. But in particular, we spoke to care employees and actually had a focus group related to that. And mental health came up as a big need for our employees, as everybody can imagine. And so as a result, our organization really doubled down and provided a $10,000 mental health benefit for both employees and dependents per year. And so this has been, both highly utilized and actually reduced, our short-term and long-term disability claims. It's an incredible, just constant well-being effort for those part of our employee group, and something we were really proud of. Moving along, so this just highlights a little bit about our hybrid work environment. And going into that, we classified our roles of what is fully on site, partially and fully remote. And what I'll share related to that is we've really done a lot of work on understanding how and why we want to bring employees in the office, and having strong rationale to bring that in. So we're not losing that connection, but ensuring that there is that flexibility. So that can look like, having a divisional at 10 o'clock so folks can ensure that they can do their morning routine and get people sorted, and then having the opportunity to leave by 3 or 4 o'clock so they're not stuck in like the 5 p.m. Traffic. The other piece I wanted to mention is around our EFAP. So we provide that for employees and their families to get access to 24/7 counseling. So that's in addition to the mental health support. This is more on that as needed basis. We also have LifeWorks manager consultations, which really provides that guidance to our managers, in addition to our internal team within HR that provide that leadership, employee relations, and workplace situations advice and guidance. Okay, moving on. So we can go to the next slide. There we go. Awesome, thank you. So Vancity really is rooted around, one of our beliefs around both reconciliation but inclusion. And we pride ourselves on that in embedding it in both our policies, like our code of conduct or respect in the workplace, but in addition to also having these employee resource groups. So these are our 6 employee resource groups. We did a lot of work on creating a framework for these employee resource groups. So our chairs of those employee resource groups are paid annually. And so we've created that equity amongst them, but we've also created a framework which allows them to have time carved off in their role to provide support, advice, and guidance to their employees. So you can see these are the 6 areas. We don't actually have a care employee specific, but that is an area of topic in all of these ERG groups. And so we definitely take an intersectional lens as it relates to both the discussion, the community engagement, and support that the employee resource groups provide. In addition to that, I'll just share, we have provide training and advice on inclusive leadership, anti-racism and equity training, which again take that inclusive and equity lens to how we support and really help our employees thrive at work, regardless of what is currently happening with them. And that's it for me.
Okay, great.
I'll pass it back to you.
Aisha, just before we go on, I just thinking this is amazing. It sounds like there's a lot of support for not only the caregivers, that you have, but just on a whole for your employees. Was just wondering, have you thought about mental health first aiders for your HR team and
We have
some of the
those.
managers?
Yeah, so we have mental health first aiders both available on site as well as remotely. So
That's
yeah, we have those as well as regular first aiders.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. It sounds like your organization's doing a lot for employees on a whole, but specifically providing support for those carer employees as well, keeping them in mind. So thank you so much. I'm going to go over some available tools and resources. We're moving along quite nicely here. One of the major pieces that we have is back in 2017, McMaster University partnered with the Canadian Standards Association to build the B701 Care, Inclusive and Accommodating Organization Standard. The standard was developed under the leadership of Dr. Allison Williams, as well as a team of experts to gather the most up-to-date and available data on care-inclusive workplace initiatives to craft the standard as a guide for workplaces in seeking to build a care-friendly workplace. The accommodation, the standard is partnered with a handbook that's available, and also the B701 HB, Helping Workers, Carers in Your Organization. That's the handbook. The handbook complements and supports implementation of the standard, and it offers a step-by-step approach on how an organization, regardless of size or sector, can adjust their current policies and practices to be more inclusive of caregivers in the workplace. The standard can be purchased and downloaded from the CSA product website and used by HR professionals, C-suite, and management to collaborate on building and adapting current policies or programs towards a more inclusive workplace for carer employees. It's important to note that this employment standard is voluntary. It is not mandated that organizations must employ this standard in some way, but it is a good thing to do. The formal implementation of the standard is often unclear to users and then abandoned as something too complicated or vague. Formal adoption of the standard is relative to the organization. It can be as simple as offering flex policies that apply to all employees and plugging in the standard into the organization structure or employee packages. It can be more extensive than that, for example, through collective agreements during negotiation. It can be more extensive, but it's up to the organizations to decide on how to shape the standard into practice and to determine its implementation for their own organization. So recently, launched in April of 2024, this course was built using this standard we just reviewed. The course takes the standard and makes it easier for HR professionals, management, anybody to understand what the standard is and how it can be used to be implemented and adapt into a workplace. It also provides a guide on measuring your care employee programs, feedback, and provides additional resources. The good news is the course is free and it takes approximately 10 hours to complete online at the pace of the learner. You can also obtain a micro-credential. This course also offers the opportunity to gain a micro-credential, as I said, but it helps in professional development hours and equips learners with the tools needed to understand how to implement the standard and the handbook. My mouth is so dry from talking so much. I apologize. And it also helps to recognize care employees in the workplace and how to support and provide accommodation for this group. So finally, we do have some more tools and resources available on the program website that can be accessed through this QR code on the screen, or you can go to the website. As you can see by the image on the right, the tools and resources are organized according to what type of visitor and what you are looking for as that visitor. So if a manager is looking and using the website and is looking for resources on how to address a caregiving scenario, they can click on the employer tile and they will be brought to the tools and resources that are available. So that's it for the tools. Aisha, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you today. Vancity is doing amazing things, and I wish you and Vancity success with all your programs.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so lovely. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day.